Hey, welcome to the Hodl Review. This is Jeff. You're here exclusively on the chain. Join me on today's video because we're going to dig in and talk about Main Street, mainstream adoption, building in the digital asset space. There's a ton of momentum. We're seeing companies that are moving into putting at least a percentage of their balance sheet into digital asset, into Bitcoin, maybe into others. We just saw the release of a CME's digital asset Ether futures. And in day one, it hit $30 million in volume. So that speaks volumes. Let's get into this right now.
And now, the HODL Review with Jeff on the chain.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So, all right, so real world utility, what does that really mean? That means that you get actual investment from big corporations moving into the digital asset space, not just from a speculative perspective, but also from a investment perspective to build and develop in the space. But it all has to start someplace. And first and foremost, it's the identification and recognition that within the digital asset space, that it's here to stay and it's meaningful. So when you have a certain percentage of a company's, cash on hand going into Bitcoin, like what MicroStrategy did by putting $1 billion into Bitcoin. And granted, they bought it over a short period of time, starting back in like August, September, but they put $1 billion in, and now it's valued at around $3.5 billion. We know Elon Musk probably back in January invested around $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. Mass Mutual invested $100 million. There's others on the list that have been investing in this space. We're now seeing other money that is moving into Ethereum. We see Grayscale and other trusts that are investing in digital assets that are making it available on the general stock market. So this is where you start getting Main Street attention, Main Street focus, Main Street adoption. And so it gets exciting. Now, we can dig in and look a little bit further, but one of the things I wanted to really focus in and talk about, this is, I pulled this up on CoinGecko, but is the price movement over the past couple days. Now we see Bitcoin touching big numbers, sitting at $44,000 right now. We saw it hit around 46,000. It's down around 4% over the last 24 hours. But what's relevant about this is that even though Elon Musk had invested his 1.5 billion, created a little hype, created a little fervor, but it didn't retreat significantly. Now Ethereum sitting at 1721 right now. Cardano is super impressive because it's at 88 cents and it was around 60 cents back on Sunday of this week, so just a couple days ago. Now XRP, this is a big one to talk about. XRP is currently at 51 cents. It passed the 50-cent threshold. Why is this significant? Because we're seeing a separation of the news, which is the SEC case against Ripple, in which they're trying to claim that Ripple was selling an unregistered security back in 2013, which was XRP. Now that was 7-8 years ago, and so does that still hold validity that they're trying to make a claim from 7-8 years ago, yet the SEC has ignored much of what's happened over the past 7-8 years. But the significance here is that on announcement of the SEC suit against Ripple and the announcement that XRP is a security from their perspective, XRP dropped from a point at 60 cents down to 20 cents, down to, I think it hit 16 cents. Might have even touched 15 cents. Then it came back up, settled in the 24, 25 cent range. Since then, what we're seeing is that with that news, all the big exchanges in the US basically froze the trading of XRP. And you would think, in the US, well, that's it. XRP is going to go down. It's not going to move. Uphold was the one holdout in the US that continued listing XRP, continued to trade XRP. I believe BitTrue potentially is still trading XRP, or at least it appears that way, that BitTrue and I think Binance.us might still be allowing trades in XRP. But the point is that since that time that all of these the bigger exchanges basically froze the trading of XRP. XRP moved from that 24-25 cents up to 51-52 cents. And that's because the global impact, what we know that goes on over in Asia and Japan, that XRP is a digital asset that they're super passionate about. SBI, the bank over in Japan, and the adoption and use of ODL with some of the rails that they're setting up over there, which is the on-demand liquidity, real world adoption, real world utility that's super impactful. Now, one other thing that we can bring up here is, this was from ARK. We talked about this on the live stream, but ARK Investments, Kathy Wood, was talking about how Bitcoin, freeze that, how Bitcoin, how all these ads, all this stuff popping up. So let's not share all of these different ads. But anyhow, so Kathy Wood was talking about how Bitcoin could move by $40,000, but it could also move by up to $400,000. And one of the things that she had pointed out is that if the S&P 500 companies were to invest 1% of their cash on hand into Bitcoin, it can move the price of Bitcoin by $40,000. That means that where it's at right now, 44,000, it can move it another 40,000 up. Now, if those same S&P 500 companies were to put 10% of their cash on hand into Bitcoin, it could potentially push Bitcoin up $400,000. So that is looking at what are the big companies doing. We know MicroStrategy, we know Tesla, we know MassMutual, and like I said in the beginning, others. We see that Amazon is excited about digital currency and doing some things over in Mexico. Google, IBM, all of them are somehow getting actively orchestrated in the background somewhere with these digital asset projects. Countries all over the world are looking at CBDCs and trying to figure out the digital currency space, including even, looking at taxation. What is the appropriate way to tax digital asset holdings, to tax those that are mining, to tax those that are trading in digital asset or getting airdrops or staking and getting benefit and gain. So right now, all of these different countries around the world, there's a handful that have been working on proper taxation, proper guidelines. Obviously, zero tax would be the best, but that's not the reality. So countries around the world will do that. Congressman Tom Emmer brought that up recently in a tweet, that this is a critical space, being in cryptocurrency, and without proper regulatory clarity, and that regulatory clarity includes how does a company get taxed on digital asset, without a clear understanding of that, then it becomes difficult to have full regulatory clarity. And regulatory clarity is also one of the key points in what's required for Main Street adoption. Now we're seeing Main Street adoption, like I said, happen in many different ways. The CME, I think it's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, has a future for Ether, and it showed what I was saying in the beginning, $30 million in volume. So there's a huge move in that direction. Grayscale has an Ethereum trust. They have a Bitcoin trust. They used to have also XRP trust, but they pulled back due to everything that's going on. Now, that is to me, that's exciting news. To me, it's really all telling in terms of what is going on in the space. Now, ARK Investment went a step further. There's been a lot of FUD and naysayers out there talking about the fact that Tesla, that Elon Musk's investment of $1.5 billion had other reasons. There's other things that he was focusing on, that it wouldn't move the rest of the market. But ARK Investment says differently, and they truly believe that Tesla is really solidifying the fact that Bitcoin is here to stay and will move more companies into purchasing Bitcoin. To me, my opinion is that it will be Bitcoin and it will be other digital assets, because there's a hierarchy first mover advantage. Bitcoin's #1 on the list. That's what has the fervor. That's the passion, what people are talking about. Then they're going to go to Ethereum. Then they're going to look at some of the other digital assets in the space. And right now, if we look at the top 5, which could draw eyeballs and could draw dollar signs to investing, that would be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, which is currently at 88 cents, like we said in the beginning, Polkadot, which is impressive, and XRP, that's currently sitting in the #5 spot at 51 cents. And then Binance Coin, which has seen huge gains from like $13 not that long ago up to $126 right now. And then they would look at Litecoin, that's had some impressive moves, and Chainlink and Stellar in the number 10 spot, and Stellar sits at 42 cents right now. So if you look at those top 10, you could see the natural hierarchical investment strategies potentially of these big corporates that look, hey, we're going to buy into Bitcoin. Oh, but what's next on the list? What can have bigger returns potentially that could be just as solid as putting into Bitcoin? So that's where you see Main Street. Now, again, this goes back to what we're talking about with Congressman Tom Emmer. Without proper regulatory clarity, and that means even guidance on the taxation aspect of it, both for individual and corporate, it'd make it very difficult to see how all of the profit, when you do sell, how that gets taxed. And all over the world, they handle it differently. Even in France, it's kind of crazy the way they handle digital assets, where if you're mining, you could potentially get you're taxed when you mine it and taxed when you sell it. So you could potentially face double taxation in France, which is crazy. So those are, to me, those are some important things to really touch on and talk about as the space is heating up right now and advancing. Now, all that being said, we could be sitting here a month from now and the whole space could potentially pulled back. But we don't know exactly, the direction. With the Main Street, with the big corporates, it looks like, just observing, just my opinion, that the whole space has the momentum and it's like snowballing forward. The other big impetus to all of this is also going to be determined, in my opinion, based on how the SEC v. Ripple case unfolds, because that case can also then have ramification for many of the other blockchain projects with digital assets out there, where the SEC, if the case falls on their side and they do end up declaring XRP is currently looked at as a security, it could have major ramification across the space, also depending on what the outcome is. So it's going to be interesting to see that unfold, and I do believe that they have a pre-trial conference on February 22nd. So that's coming up here very, very quickly. So, hey, appreciate you guys being on the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below, hit the thumbs up, hit the bell notifier to make sure you get notified with every video that we launch. Also, go check out our podcast. You should be able to see that in the description below, and the other channel, which is where we live stream. So until we see you next time, which hopefully is on a live stream, this is Jeff, and I am out of here.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.